Hey guys, it's Jake from Wani, and I am here with Nick Holmes from Paradise Lost. Nick, man, how you going?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, good to speak to you.
Yeah, cool. And we're here talking because Paradise Lost is actually coming back to Australia for their first tour in about 6 or 7 years in December. So I think your last performances here were part of Soundwave Festival. So how excited are you to be coming back to Australia on your own and not part of a major festival?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, Australia is something, we haven't been very often at all, really, over the years. I mean, we certainly would have loved to have come more, but obviously the logistics and financial things about getting over there has always been an issue with it. Yeah, I mean, the Soundwave was, we really enjoyed doing that as well. So yeah, it's good to get back there. We're kind of in and out, I think we've got a gig a day, then we fly home. There's no kind of time off or anything anymore. It's very much kind of gig, then you fly out again. It would be nice to hang out there a bit and maybe have a little vacation, but yeah, no, we're definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's a really good tour this time around because you're actually playing shows in Adelaide and Perth who don't normally get these sort of shows. So are you excited about playing those locations?
Yeah, I mean, we played. I remember playing Perth years ago. I think it was with Cathedral. I think, it was Cathedral. I think we did Adelaide as well, but I mean, I'm kind of going back a long, long time now. I forget how old I am. But yeah, I mean, when we came, we played with Cathedral. That was good. That was a fun tour as well. So yeah, it's the more places the better, really.
Yeah, cool. So since your last tour of Australia as part of that Soundwave Festival, you've released the 3 albums. So you had Tragic Idol, The Plague Within, and the most recent one, which came out in September, Medusa. So obviously you're going to be touring in support of the newest album, but can the Australian fans expect to hear some of the tracks from those other albums?
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at... I mean, I don't want to do the same set list as we've just done in Europe because it's very much leading... it's about the new album, obviously, because we play Europe every year. So, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll mix up the set a little bit more and play songs that, more of a, perhaps more like we would do a longer festival set kind of vibe, maybe. I don't know yet. I mean, I'll see what everyone kind of wants to do, but, yeah, we might change it a little bit around to the European set purely based on the fact that we don't come there every year, So, yeah, we'll hopefully do a good cross-section of the last, kind of 6 years as well, so as well as older stuff as well.
Yeah, nice. And that's actually a really good lead into what my next question was going to be. But given that you guys now have 30 years of band history and 15 albums under your belt, do you ever find it difficult picking a set list for shows, particularly, as you mentioned, for those parts of the world that you don't always get a chance to visit?
Yeah, it's more about agreeing on set lists, really. Because we can all agree on something, then someone will say they don't want to do this song or that song. It's more about the band actually agreeing on the set. I think that's the harder thing, and it's I mean, you can kind of tell obviously through the years of playing certain songs, we know which songs go down better than others. But I mean, you get people who come and see the band 80 times and they're whinging that they've heard As I Die too many times. It's like, well, you have seen us 80 times. So I mean, we do tend to play some songs a lot because people want to hear them, and obviously it's different. It's generally a different crowd every night. So, yeah, I mean, but it's more sort of inter-band arguments about songs. But yeah, we certainly have about 5 or 6 songs which always, everyone always loves to hear them live, So we tend to obviously play to the crowd as well,
Yeah, definitely. So Medusa came out in September this year, and I'm not going to say that it was a drastic change of sound, but you guys sort of took a bit more of a slower approach to the tracks than what the fans might have been used to. How have the fans been receiving the new tracks live?
Really good. I mean, we're sort of at a point where we have to think about playing live at every album we do now. I mean, we've done albums where we didn't even think about what it's going to sound like live or if it would work live or, but I mean, live is where it's at, really. I mean, we have to think, well, if we can't play live, then we're going to have to, okay, well, it's going to be a studio song, we'll leave it at that, But generally speaking, we wanted to make this so we could do any of these songs live, which we have done. Obviously some work better than others. You don't know until you get out there and play it, but yeah, it's the live scene is where it's at. If you're going to be in a band these days, you got to play live. It's simple as that. So we have to think about that when we write songs. Unless we decide to specifically do just a studio album, which we will never play live. But I couldn't see that happening, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. So I do want to keep talking about the album, and it's had a fairly positive reception, I guess, across the globe, not at the fan level as well as at the critic level. I know that you guys have mentioned in the past that if you were sure about the album yourselves, then the fans would also be sure and would also be happy with it. But is the reception that the album's received, like that sort of positive affirmation that this album's been a success?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, obviously, because we've got such an extensive back catalogue, there's always room to experiment a little bit more. I mean, I don't think people expect us to do the same thing every album, and we sort of said we fancied doing really probably the most heaviest album we've done of our entire career, and I think this album is that, and some people just say, well, okay, it's a bit too heavy for me, I'll see what you do next. And cause the thing is, having such an extensive career, extensive back catalogue, I think we can move more than perhaps a lot of bands in our genre in that respect. We're not going to do a flamenco album, but do you know what I mean? I still think we can move a little bit more within our genre, so to speak.
You could be on.
But yeah, generally. But like I said, the general vibe's been really good on the record, So, but I think we're at a pretty good place right now, so it's all good.
Yeah, cool. Medusa is obviously the first album with your new drummer, and forgive me if I pronounce the name here wrong, but Waltteri, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, just don't bother with the surname. I can never pronounce his surname.
So he took over from, obviously, the legendary Adrian Erlandson in 2015, but there's obviously a very large age gap there between Waltteri and the rest of the band. So he's obviously only 23, but the rest of you have been around probably a lot longer than that. Is there any difficulty there with the age gap, or has he sort of just slotted right in?
No, not at all. He's fine. He's got a very mature head on his shoulders. I mean, we've all got children. We've got children older than he is. So I mean, two guys at the band are grandparents now. So so it's he's got his head screwed on. He's very down to earth. He's very and he's very independent. He's very mature. He's not a. Yeah, people always think, he's going to be like some kind of giggling teenager, but he's not like that at all. Actually, he's kind of as old and as miserable as we are, really. It's just a younger version.
So, well, I guess that sort of gives a bit of credence into the next question that I was going to ask. But do you think the injection of that youth maybe influenced the songwriting on Medusa at all? Or was it good to have a younger perspective?
Yeah, a little bit sometimes. I mean, he's kind of into a lot of bands that I don't even know who they are. I mean, he's got his ear to the ground, and he likes. Obviously, he grew up listening to bands that are kind of like 8th generation from us. So I mean, he doesn't even like Black Sabbath. He's like, which is like what? But so yeah, I mean, I guess he's got a perspective on what younger people will be listening to. So yeah, I mean, it's always good to ask him, what's out there and who's everyone listening to now. I mean, with that said, you can find out yourself quite easily. Just go on the internet, but still, he's actually a big fan of the genre that we're in, and he's a big music fan in general. So, but yeah, I mean, beyond that, I wouldn't say so much because when we start writing the songs, Greg sort of just knows exactly what he wants to do, etc. So,
Yeah, fair enough. For this album, you guys signed with Nuclear Blast. That happened late or early last year. It was early 2016. Before that, you'd had a lengthy relationship with Century Media. But do you feel like this new partnership might have rejuvenated the band? Was it difficult leaving Century Media after such a long period of time? It's been great, but I mean, Central Media were great. We were there 10 years, and I have nothing negative to say about any point of the being with those guys. I mean, they were all really. In the same time, I find Nuclear Blast are very similar people to work with. They're all a lot of the people that work there. They're all fans of the music they're working on. They're not just they're not given bands. They don't know anything about the bands they're working with. Everybody knows what they're working on. They're all, like I said, they're all sort of like fans of the music, and that's as far as I'm concerned, that's we've been on labels in the past where I feel some of the people working on labels didn't really even know who we were, or
give a shit really.
Yep.
But I think, you know, with especially Nuclear Blast and Century Media, they're both very similar in respect that, you know, they are very behind the bands and they're into the music they're working on, and they both have that in common, I think, you know. So it's been great. It's been great with both so far, you know.
Yeah, cool. And I guess that's what's important for the band and the label as well, that there's a really good relationship there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're meeting people you're working with, and they're getting your name wrong when they, or you know, or they don't even know anything about any part of your past or anything. It's like, oh well, you know, this isn't particularly a great start, but I mean, you know, it's like I said, they're all fans of the bands they're working with, so it's great, you know.
Yeah, cool. Now, these questions are more directed towards yourself, Nick, but you also sing in Bloodbath, who I know have booked a whole ton of shows and tours for the start of 2018. So, given the focus on touring, do you think we might see a follow-up album to 2014's Grand Morbid Funeral in the near future?
Yeah, well, the guys are working on it now, so I think we're looking at recording in the end of January. We're looking at doing it maybe early February. So yeah, we're definitely doing another album, but we'll see what happens. But I mean, the guys in Catatonia, they've been busy touring as well, so they're pretty much winding it up now. I think they're playing Russia, then they're finished for the year. So, but yeah, they're kind of getting on with a new album now. So yeah, at the end of January, I think we're going to start on that. So we'll see. Yeah. Yeah,
cool. And I guess also adding on to that, with that sort of those tours popping up at the start of next year, is that going to impact on Paradise Lost's shows, given that you've just released the album and you're trying to get the reach out that you're sort of trying to get, or have you sort of struck the right balance to be free to do both without much impact on either band?
No, I mean, with Bloodbath, we're not going to do any extensive touring. I mean, you know, we've just done 7 weeks in Europe with Paradise Lost. We wouldn't do that with Bloodbath. You know, we just kind of. I mean, we're doing like a short US tour, and Canada we're only playing like about 8 dates in both places, you know. So it's anything we do with Bloodbath is very kind of you know, it's just short, just a kind of in and out, kind of quick, a couple of gigs. You know, we don't want to do any long tours with Bloodbath. We want to keep it quite kind of special in a way. I mean, we only planned on doing 13 shows when we started playing live anyway, and then we've ended up doing more like 30 shows now. So, but no, we you know, it's good fun to do. You know, meet the guys and do it. You know, now and again through the year. Yeah, I mean, you know, who knows? But yeah, we wouldn't do anything that's going to impact on PL or Catatonia or Opeth for that matter. You know, we just do it in between. You know. Yeah,
cool. Nick, that's all that I've got for you. Do you want to close off by letting the Australian fans know anything about the upcoming shows before we sign off?
No, we're looking forward to it. It's we're counting down the days now, so yeah, we'll look forward to it. I hear it's very hot there as well, so we're bringing the flip-flops and all that. So yeah, we look forward to coming down, and can't wait to get back there. Yeah,
I think the temperature today was about 28 degrees, but it was raining, so...
Yeah, that's quite pleasant. Well, even with the rain, it's quite pleasant, so that's all right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like -3 and rain in here, so so it's not quite as nice as that. So
yeah. All right, Nick. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, mate. Cheers. All the best. Thanks
Nick. See ya.
Cheers, man.